Hi guys, welcome back to Soul Gardens. I've had a rough week, so I just want to come on real quick because I haven't been on for a week or so, and catch up for a second on a topic that some of us might need a little encouragement on, and that would be self-worth and maybe insecurities and abandonment issues, especially, sometimes like we feel that way when our parents favor another sibling, or it seems that way, or they don't pay attention to us at all. It's neglect and we're abandoned, kind of. Like my parents were divorced, so I have the separation of my parents, and I ended up living with my father and not my mother. Whole bunch of weird abandonment wounds going on there, you know what I mean? And I was married for almost 30 years, and he came and went, and I never felt chosen or stable, and quite often not enough and abandoned. And then you start to think whether you're, when it stems from childhood, and then you find yourself in relationships that reinforce those wounds, you have a mother wound that started it, let's say, for example, and then you get in a toxic relationship with another partner who just keeps it going for you, it's kind of hard to hold your worth within yourself and feel like when you're not chosen, that it's not about you, that it's something that those people are doing for themselves, or they're doing it from their own wounding. They don't even know they're doing it. Some people aren't choosing you because you're not a fit for them, and they have the right to do that. We all have a right to choose what's best for us, whether somebody else likes it or not. And it doesn't make our egos feel good at the time, but if you love the person, you want what's best for them in the long run. You don't want to be selfish. With that said, though, if you have trust issues and abandonment issues and self-worth issues and all those wonderful things, even if you've done the work and you continue to do the work, because things sneak up on you when a job doesn't work out, especially like say you get fired or you get laid off, or you get, or a relationship doesn't work out, a romantic relationship, or even a friendship, you see all the time, well, how come I didn't get invited to the dinner and you went with all the other guys, or you went with all the other girls? Why didn't you invite me? What was wrong with me? Why couldn't I go? You have those scenarios, It's not just with kids. I've seen it with adults too, A relationship. Hey, it's not working out. Or can we just be friends? It's not you, it's me, the whole thing. Sometimes it really isn't you. Sometimes it is them. And it doesn't mean it's them from a bad place. It just means they're not comfortable with it. Something's not right with them right now. And you may or may not be right for them later. And that's okay. They have a right to follow their own free will and their own hearts. And as long as that's what they're doing, and they're not listening to friends and families, and they're being influenced by outside toxic third parties due to their own insecurities and conditioning and fear of their abandonment, because they'll be rejected from their past friends and family if they choose what they want. See, things get a little complicated. So when people reject things, all these things can go through their head, and until they can figure it out, sometimes they run away until they can figure it out. Sometimes families are like cults, and they're in your business 24/7, and there's never silence, and you never get to think for yourself. When you're in one of those dynamics, it's very hard to decipher what's your thoughts and what's been instilled in you to believe in what you want. You really need, when you're in those types of families, people really need to be able to remove themselves for a while from everybody to know who they are and what their own voice is without guilt, because guilt will eat you alive. Like, you'll feel guilty for not following your traditions, your culture, the will of, this one or that one, and following tradition and carrying this on or that on. It's not your job. You're here to be you. You're not here to be them or great-gram them, or, you know what I'm saying? You weren't put on this earth to be somebody else. You were put here to be you. So, if you find yourself in one of those situations, or you're not sure, before you make any decisions, please try to decipher, is the thoughts and feelings that you have coming from you, or are they coming from outside sources influencing you and creating insecurities, fears, and anxieties that end up overpowering what your heart, mind, and soul really want, but you feel like you're not allowed to have. Because that happens. It happens a lot in families that end up more like cults than like families, like little Susie, unless Susie goes to college for this, and that degree, we're not paying for it. We'll disown her. We only do these types of degrees and jobs in our family. But Susie wants to be an artist. Tommy wanted to be a musician. I like welding. No, we only pay for doctors and lawyers, and you see what I'm saying? Conditioning, cultural mindset, cults. Or, they barge in your house. Like, they own the place. There's no separation of them and you. There's no I. There's no autonomy. Some families are like that. They're so encroached, and everybody's entangled in business, especially when you have a business with your family. You can't even separate your job from them. You got to be careful, because your hopes, your dreams, your wants and desires gets really meshed and entangled with the dynamics of the family. And if you step out of line, they're ready to smack you down or disown you. And it's, for some people, it's scary to feel like they're going to be, their codependency on that family is gone. And they think that they're very independent, but really, if they're second guessing their moves out of what other people might think or say, they're really codependent. If something happens and they're always running to this one or that one, they're codependent. There's obviously some dependency is normal, but it's when it's so intermeshed that it's unhealthy for the stability and the progression of your life, that you can't change. You can't grow. Nobody wants you in those types of families and friendships, even educational systems, whatever, certain societies. They want you conditioned a certain way, and they don't want you going outside the box. Or they'll punish you. They'll find a way to make you regret it, and there'll be repercussions for that. So it creates a fear, an intimidation tactic. And a lot of people end up staying stuck in an unhealthy, toxic, undesirable environment for them, and they slowly suffocate, and their soul dies, and their joy dies, and their spirit cries out because they know they're not thriving. They're just surviving there. And it's sad. You have a right to live your life how you want to live it. Will there be repercussions for some of your choices if you're in that type of dynamic? Sure. Sure, expect it. Be prepared for it the best you can. That's all I can tell you. People who truly love you and care for you will support you and be glad for you. And, what can I do to help? And those who aren't that way, you don't need them in your life anymore. That's no longer your alignment. That's not your frequency. Those aren't your people. You're allowed to grow and change. It's okay. As long as there's life in us, we're supposed to do that. We're not supposed to stay the same. We're not. But with that said, when you are rejected by the people you love, they always say the comparison is the destroyer of joy. Especially when you compare yourself, when you're in a relationship with someone and you compare yourself to their new partner or their old partner. And you're pretty secure in yourself, but everybody's got their hang-ups, But they seem to be more magnified when you see their other partner or their new partner. And you think, maybe for a second, well, what's wrong with me? What don't I have that they have? Am I not skinny enough? Am I not, for me, am I not tan enough? Is my nose too big? I have too many scars. My teeth aren't right. I have too many children for some people, for most people. I have a large family, and I'm divorced, so yeah. One of my wounds, sorry, I play with my hair when I'm nervous. I know it's annoying. I'm working on it, guys. One of my mind fucks that I was given after relationships, it seems to be one that people like to dig me with, is good luck finding somebody that's going to want you with all those kids. Not only did my ex-husband say it, I had an ex-boyfriend that said it. And I said, the right person won't care about that. So, screw you. You know? And so, but will it be harder to find that right person? Maybe, but I'm not looking. I don't have my eyes closed to the possibilities, but it's not like I'm looking for it on an app or going out on dating sites or, you know what I mean? I just don't roll that way. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If God brings them to me, serendipity, destiny, and they're aligned with me, cool. If not, I've lived a lot of life. I've raised, just about done raising 12 children. Yeah. I've had 5 brothers, and I'm the second oldest. So I babysat all my brothers. I lived a lot of life in between. I'm tired. So if it doesn't bring peace and joy to my life, if it's not going to add something to my life and it's just going to take away from me that I've worked really hard to regain in myself through the work I've done in myself, then I'm pretty much rather be alone. You know? But I was thinking about that this week, how we can start to, it's a slippery slope, right? Get a little down on ourselves when we see them with somebody new or what their ex used to look like and they go back to them or whatever. And you're just like, well, they are pretty. I wonder what they got that I don't have. Well, sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's just familiar. I can't say the word. Sometimes it's just, they're familiar. Because change is scary. Sometimes it's just obligations. Sometimes it's trauma bonds and they don't even realize they're doing it. Codependent bonds, unhealthy ones. Sometimes it's just toxic and they go back and forth because they can't break a cycle or a pattern. And not only do they destroy their lives, but they destroy other people's lives in the process. I don't think anybody does it maliciously. I mean, I'm sure there are malicious people that do that. But for the most part, I don't think people are made that way. I think for the most part, people are just trying to do the best they can. And there's casualties sometimes. Because when you're unhealed, you tend to bleed on other people. So, this is the way it goes. There's a lot of healing work when you have when you've had a certain childhood and then certain relationship patterns as a result of that childhood, that brought in a lot of chaos and heartbreak and, trauma and negativity and cycles and patterns and things like that. To have a healthy relationship after, you have to be able to break those patterns. You have to want to break those patterns and be willing to do the work. And you need to find a partner that's willing to work with you, and you have to be vulnerable and discuss those things with each other so you can help each other. If I know I freeze when I'm cornered, for example, when I'm alone by another male due to my trauma, please don't leave me in a corner with a male if you see me and we're out together, because I will freeze. I've told you this. Don't yell at me later because I didn't move and go away from that male after I previously told you I freeze if I'm alone and cornered, and then yell at me later like it was my fault. You know, these are, if you have a partner that works with you and you feel safe with, you can be open about these triggers and wounds and help each other heal. The internal work, most of the work, you have to dive deep and unearth those, and do the archaeological digs and dives and put the dinosaur bones together to make your dinosaur, to figure out where certain things stemmed from so you can heal them. But a real good partner helps you figure those out and will help give you some ideas and support while you're doing it. You don't have to do everything alone. You don't have to. You just have to be willing to be vulnerable and want to do it. There's a difference between partners who one wants to heal and do the healing work and elevate, and the other one that doesn't, just want to move, Martha, the ball game's on. And Martha's like, but do you want to say a prayer with me before we go to bed? No, Martha, the game is on. Move over. Well, how about we say a quick prayer and then you can finish watching the game. Can we do that? You see what I'm saying? In the right dynamic, a healthy relationship, if Martha was like, hey, at bedtime, I'd really love it if we prayed together before we went to bed. And then Henry was like, well, Martha, what? On, Monday nights I have the game. But I'll tell you what, I'll pray with you at this time, halftime, or you work it out, you make the effort for what's important. And your individual likes and desires and flow and activities. You don't have to be little carbon copies of each other, following each other around, doing everything each other does. There's times to come together and do that. And there's times to go, I want to do my own thing. You're in my space, How do you do that? You got to communicate. You got to understand each other. And those building blocks, that foundation takes a little effort and a little work. But once it's solid, it's solid. Once it's there, it's there. It's something you shouldn't skip, I don't know how I got on that, but just know you're enough. You're pretty enough. You're beautiful inside and out. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're funny. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing necessarily wrong with them. They're just in a space where they need to make decisions the way they make decisions. And unfortunately, they might end up hurting you in the process. Intentionally, probably not, right? Some people do it and not give our feelings a thought. They're not even thinking about us, and that's unfortunate. Some people realize they did it too late. They say if we reflect on it, realize they hurt us too late. Some people just never care. You know who's who, what's what, you know? You know who really does what because they're confused or they got psych issues or attachment issues or trauma issues versus they're spoiled brat and they're selfish. You know? Or they're just confused because they have love for more than one person. But what kind of love is it? The healthy love or is it toxic love? Is it a future that you want to see yourself in, or is it a future that you're choosing because it's comfortable and familiar and it takes less work because you don't have to change much? And the other one is where your heart is, but it's going to take a whole upheaval to choose that one, and you'll piss off a lot of people or hurt somebody's feelings or whatever. So you stay where you're not happy. To make other people happy? Are they really happy? Because I tend to notice that when people choose to stay in a situation because they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or make other people angry, people like that in that dynamic are upset and angry anyway. Just saying. Because if they weren't that type of environment and people, I encourage you to find your true north, your soul's true purpose. They would want what's best for you, no matter what, and love you regardless, even if it sucks for them. And you know what happens when you have people who truly feel that way? They might be sad or hurt. They'll be a little angry for a while. But once you give them space and time to heal, the love never left. And they want nothing but the best for you. And that's just the way it is. That's called unconditional love. Those are the type of people you want in your tribe. People that'll love you unconditionally. Not because they control you and you have to do what they want or else you're excommunicated from the family and ostracized. You know what I mean? You should be free to be you. Sometimes people we're in a relationship with don't make us feel pretty. Even if you're the most beautiful supermodel walking the runway, you get in the wrong relationship and he can make you feel like the most ugliest duckling. It's true. You can have everybody in the world telling you how beautiful you are, but if you're not hearing it from the one person, for some reason it matters so much to hear from. For some reason you don't believe it. It could be a partner. It could be a parent. Why don't you tell me you love me back? I just said I love you. Why don't you say it back? It hurts. It hurts your heart when you say I love you to someone and they don't say it back. Why don't you say it back? Sometimes it's not about you at all. Sometimes it's no reflection of your worth and your value. Sometimes people can't say I love you because they can't say I love you. Because that's a problem within them. And it sucks when it's your parents. Because they instill in us this detachment and this avoidance. Because they're emotional. needs don't get met. And then we feel like we're not worth anything and we're unlovable. And we must be bad or something because mom or dad won't tell me they love me or hug me or nurture me when I'm sad or hurt. It had nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. And unfortunately, it probably had everything to do with their parents. It's called a generational curse. You can be the generation that breaks it. But I already had my children, and I wasn't the best. It doesn't matter. You can show them now. It's never too late to start now. Be here now. Mom still can't say I love you. Doesn't mean you still don't say it to mom. But it hurts not to hear it back. So say it back. I love you too, honey. Just to fuck with them. Maybe one day they'll pitch in. Maybe something happened to them as they were a child or with their relationships in the past and they told somebody they loved them once and got hurt real bad. Maybe it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. There's some things that happen to our parents and our grandparents that they'll never tell us. And we just get the hand-me-downs as a result of it. And we don't know where it came from. But we have to heal it so we don't keep it going. You know? Because then what happens is we repeat our childhood throughout our intimate relationships. Sometimes our partners treat us the way they treat us because they're not really targeting us and they're not really mad at us and they're not really avoiding us. They're mad at their mother. They're mad at their ex. They're mad at their father. They're mad at somebody who assaulted them. You know, put it where it fits for you. But with that in mind, if you've had trauma, make a note of that. If you've had something happen to you as a child or an adult with any form of SA, it's very hard to trust people that get close to you. Don't you think? So when you give them that trust and they don't hold it right, it hurts very much. Doesn't it? Especially when they knew your history, right? You told them. That hurts even more, doesn't it? When they knew your history and they still didn't hold it. They weren't sensitive to your needs for safety. When you've been abused, when you've been in, like, say, domestic violence partnerships, you've been in, say, partnerships, because it happens in partnerships, not just by random people. It also happens in friend groups and in families. So when you open your heart to a new person, it's very You're hyper vigilant and hypersensitive to how you're being treated. Because the number one thing you need to feel when you've been through life experiences such as that is safe. And your partner, the number one thing that they should be providing for you, knowing your life experiences, if they involve things such as that, is feeling safe. If you don't feel safe where you are, if a relationship doesn't make you feel safe, you might want to reconsider why you're in it. Because if you spent your whole life as a child, and then your whole adult life due to abusive relationships or incidents out in the world where you were assaulted, so no matter where you've been, in your home or out in public, something traumatic has happened to you, where do you feel safe? Pretty much nowhere, right? So the one place you want to feel the safest, who should be your safe haven, is your partner. They should be your ride or die, right? They should always have your back. Always have your back and make you feel safe. And if they don't, then they're not your person. Because your person will put your safety above anything else. Your emotional safety, your mental safety, your physical safety. All equally valid. All equally their responsibility to care for and nurture. And not neglect. Maybe it's too much for them. Maybe they need somebody with less wounds, with less trauma. Maybe somebody that had an easier go of life. This is too much for their nervous system to handle, and that's okay. And that's okay too. But if you know that you don't feel safe in their presence, and you're home with them, if you don't feel safe that they'll defend you when you're out in public together, with their friends, with their family, all of that matters to feel safe and secure, then they're not your person. So, with that said, if they are willing to do that stuff for you, then they are your person. A lot of times people don't know what you need unless you vocalize it. We're not mind readers, right? That's why communication, presence, and time together is so important. A good relationship, like, say you get a new dog, you don't just leave it in the crate. It's an investment. You got to take it out. You got to train it. You got to work with it. You got to bond with it. You got to do the same with a relationship. I mean, you got to get to know each other. You got to work each other's quirks out. How does my partner respond when a fight breaks out? Not necessarily, I'm not talking between us. Just some people get triggered when other people start fighting because it's a trauma response for them. They get triggered. because they grew up in a household where there was fighting and yelling and screaming and chaos. You got to know to remove your partner from that situation, not make her or him stay there. Or hold their hand and support them while you back away from the situation. Or what if there's a fire somewhere? Say there's a bonfire and you grab her and like, hey, let's go to the bonfire. Well, what if they fell in the fire as a kid and they're terrified of it and you almost just re-traumatize them? You get my point, right? You're picking up what I'm putting down. How are you going to know these things if you don't spend time together communicating? It might seem like, oh, stupid high school and just sitting around, hanging out on the bed, sitting on the grass, looking up at the stars, talking about random shit for hours. No, that shit creates bonds. That shit helps you to know each other inside and out intimately, vulnerably. So much so that we know they got you when anything comes up because they know you so well. Yes, there's the fears that they know me so well they can use it against me. They're going to use it to sabotage me, to hurt me, to screw me over later. If you give them too much information, they'll fuck you with it. People can. Vet your people. Because I'm pretty sure you saw the red flags and you ignored them beforehand. For whatever reason. You know who will keep your secrets and who won't. You know who you can look in the eye with utter terror from across the room going, get me the fuck out of here, without a word. And they come over and they get you the fuck out of there. They know you so well that they can tell when you're just about to tear up, and they come and grab you and hug you and say, come on, let's go. Let's go over here. What's wrong? What can I do? And they hug you because they got you. You know what I'm saying? I can tell by the lilt in your voice. Because they pay attention. Because they care. They'll remember your favorite drink. They'll remember, stupid little things. What side of the walkway you walk on. If you zigzag or not. Because they watch. They care. And they ask why you do that. Or do you know you do that? And you probably did it because of this. Or that. Because they know you so well, they can guess that these are that. The same way they can help you heal. Well, you probably like that because of this. Shit. Sorry that happened to you. Sorry that happened to you. It's not your fault. Cry if you need to cry. Get mad if you need to get mad. Feel what you gotta feel, but don't get stuck there. Take some time to feel and heal. But don't forget to live in the process. You can still live your life while you're healing. You don't have to stay stuck. I was married 30 years. I had 12 kids. Aren't you attached? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you want to go back to certain things that you miss? I live that life. There's things with my children. I miss certain things about my childhood part, my friendships that I had fun with, is the group as a whole. Would I ever go back to that if I had the opportunity? No. No. Would I feel obligated to do a fucking thing for him just because I had 12 children with him? Fuck no. 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 If I did anything, it would be for the benefit of my children, not him. Because we don't have a friendship like that. We didn't end like that. And I have exes that I'm great friends with. I have tons of them on my Facebook still. We have friends since childhood. You are abusive to me. These guys were just kids. Being kids. I didn't depend on them for my safety and stability. And that of my children. So the heartbreak and the devastation was completely different than a marriage of 30 years versus a guy you dated for a couple of years in high school. You know? I can forgive a lot of things. And I do. I freaking do. Life's too short to hold grudges, and none of us are perfect. Nope. No. There's certain things that it's not that I don't forgive, I just won't be around. I don't want it in my energy. So I have certain rules for myself and how I live and who I want to be in my life. There's certain people that have treated me a certain way in my life that I'm still working through forgiving. I am not quite there. Actually, I'm far from it still for one or two of them, to be honest. But I do revisit it. I don't ignore it. I have a good balance between devastatingly bad treatment versus just a fuck up, just being human. Most people are just being human. Most people don't have malicious intent. Most people aren't calculated and malicious. Most people are just bad judgment call. And I hurt somebody I cared about, and I didn't mean to. I could have handled that better. You know? And then we internalize it and we make it about us when they say mean or hurtful things. When the words or actions they choose are not about us at all. It says something about them for choosing them and doing them. Well, when your heart is broken and you feel ugly and unlovable and not pretty enough, you can kind of spiral a little bit on the woe is me stuff a little bit. I don't really do it that much, honestly. I feel it a fleeting, it like passes me by now, you know. and I can catch it, and I can look at it and say, yes, I don't like this about myself. I don't like that. I wish I had this. I don't have that. Oh, she's got this and she's got that. And then I can say, but the right person will love me for me, regardless of my flaws. And if he doesn't come, I got me. I have a whole life filled with shit to do. I'm not bored. But trust me. 12 kids and a creative brain and a curious brain and a heart for adventure. I got plenty of things to do. Even if I'm alone doing them. I will have a good time regardless. I can sit down and laugh at myself. Is it nice to have a soul tribe and someone to share things with? Absolutely. Banter is great, isn't it? You bounce things off of each other, not just for laughs, but for ideas and creativity and building things together. The pairs, the divine had two come together with the divine to create. You know what I'm saying? One is okay. But when, two or more are gathered in my name, there I am among you. God's always among us, the universe, whatever you believe in. Sometimes it's nice to hear another voice talking back at you. Isn't it? But if it's going to be a voice, sorry about this lighting, I don't know how to work this damn thing, that's being derogatory, putting you down, being a bully, trying to intimidate you, being verbally intimidating, verbally abusive, manipulative, jealous, just outright trying to scare you, trying to scare you, intimidate you, whatever it is. Big fat bully, controlling. Then choose being alone until you find that other person that wants to build the love, build you up in love and not tear you down. One who, when you disagree or you come to them with your feelings and what your needs are, don't get angry and defensive and deflect. That are open-minded and willing to listen and willing to pivot. Because they know you matter to them. And you do the same for them because they matter to you. Make time for what's really important. The relationships that you foster, that you dream of when you're laying down in bed at night. I love my cousins, don't get me wrong. When I'm laying in bed at night, I don't think about hanging out in bed with my cousins until I'm 80 years old. I don't. I love my cousins. I think my life partner. So if I have to live alone and hug a pillow or a stuffed animal or cat, whatever, fine. At least my cat, my pillow, a stuffed animal don't talk down to me. Don't accuse me of things I don't do out of jealousy or, ego, and don't try to intimidate me and give me terrible looks when they talk to me to just, try to scare you with their looks. I hate that. Why are you trying to intimidate me? Not for nothing, but I really just don't want to fight with people. If you bring it, for the most part, the lion in me roars up and gets, I defend myself for the most part. I try to cool things down when I can. But, I get a little impulsive myself. I'm not perfect. It's not my first go-to. I usually go to someone directly, quite calmly and openly until it's flipped on me. Some of you out there have experienced it too. You go in good faith, hoping that they work it out with you, and then they flip it. Then you shut down and you don't want to share anything with them. And then they say, you're distant. We don't talk anymore. You don't share anything. You used to be so open. You don't, why would I? I shared everything with you. And then you twisted it and yelled at me for telling me, I was wrong when you were the one making me feel bad. I was just trying to share that you made me feel bad. And what can we do to fix it? Instead you just got mad at me. Like, how does that help a relationship? Why do you want to hear shit like that? Don't you want to be with somebody that's going to be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I hurt you. What can I do so it doesn't happen again? See, some people say a lot of things, but they're all talk. What steps, what actions are you willing to take to make the outcomes different each time? Because if they're not willing to actually take any steps to change anything, then it's false promises. It's a false. They're lying to themselves and you. I'm sorry. I always tell my kids when they were little, they freaking don't do it now. They don't listen now. They're creep-agers. But when you tell somebody you're sorry, you also should be verbalizing what you're sorry for. Not just, I'm sorry. I am sorry I hurt your feelings when I did this. I can see how it would hurt your feelings. In the future, I will be conscious of it and try to do better. And I will avoid blah, 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 or something. And then next time something comes up and you're just about to do the same thing and you catch yourself. You almost did it, but you got yourself. Or some of it got out. What would it? Wait a minute, I'm trying to do better. Okay, what's wrong? And you take a deep breath and you slow down. And you take turns talking back and forth. Okay, what can we do to solve it? Sometimes you're just going to have different points of view, and you got to be okay with being okay with not agreeing on something too. And not get all butthurt and treat each other like shit about it. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of friends, bosses, family members, partners, parents, family members, authorities, teachers, religious leaders talking down to me. Don't come at me with disrespect. I will be calm for a second. And then I will defend myself when you don't calm your shit. Because I have a right to defend myself. Or I will just walk away if I'm able to. Usually I just walk away if it's nothing worth defending. Because I've learned I don't argue with people that are committed to misunderstanding me. If I know they're just not going to bother trying to understand me and are willing to work with me, then there's nothing left for me to say, is there? When at first I think I might have a shot, or my ego, my self-defense might get a little out of control, especially when, when there's love involved, you get that, your emotions get involved, They're harder at first, that passion. But at some point, even that. After that, they're like, you're a blah, 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 and and you're just like, okay, I'll see you later. Okay, is that what you think? Okay. All right. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. That kind of partner you want? That kind of life you want? Those are the kind of people you want around you? Did you have to sit there and tell yourself, don't engage, don't engage, don't engage? Or do you want the kind of people around you that you can have a beautiful, open-minded discussion with for real change and real growth? So you can both get in alignment because you love each other. Two different mindsets. Don't you think? I've lived the other destructive mindset. I've clawed my way to get out of environments like that. Friends, family, and partnerships. I'll be damned if I go back. Sometimes the family still comes in and out because they're family. And it was hard for me in the beginning to set a lot of my boundaries, but I've gotten much better at it. And yes, I've lost relationships with my own children because of it. When they were in the wrong. And I wasn't going to pretend they weren't just to save the relationship. Yes, I know they say, well, is your pride worth losing the relationship over? It depends on what it's over. So that. Sometimes tough love means you let them go. Goodbye, bye. And let them grow on their own. You pray for them, whatever, and you hope they come back. But sometimes your children can be bullies to the parents. And they push you and they push you and they push you. And guess what, parents? You have a right to say enough's enough. Go live your life. You're disturbing my peace. Come back when you can treat me right. I'm not saying do it to a 5-year-old. Come on, people. You know the age-appropriate group to do that too. At some point, if they're just being nasty and controlling and manipulative and unhelpful and ingrates and taking advantage of you when they should be doing shit for themselves at some point. We cut the cord a long time ago. I will help you out here and there. on occasion, but you need to leave the nest now. I did my part. It's time for you to build your own life. And we will visit each other in the appropriate times. Sorry, nothing wrong with that. It's called autonomy. It's good for them. They need to learn how to do it. They don't need you holding their hand through their 50s. We all need family. We all need friends to help us out when we're in a situation. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't have mom over. I'm not saying don't have Sunday dinner every Sunday at grandma's with all the aunts and uncles and cousins like we used to do. I'm not saying don't tell them when you got some issues going on. You know the difference between a close, loving family and a family that's all up in your business and you can't run your own life because they're running it for you. You know. You know. Same with your children. Same with your parents. You can't love them. Oh, yeah. Your parents tell you who you can and cannot love, and you're an adult? Do your children tell you who you can and cannot love, and you're an adult? No. No. This is my life. I love who I want, when I want, where I want, whether you like them or not. You know why? Because I like them. And what I want matters. Because it's my relationship and it's going to be my life. See, the thing is, your parents are off with their relationship, doing their thing. Your children are off and with their boyfriends and girlfriends and doing their thing. But yet they're still in your business telling you what to do with your thing. But if you dare tell them how to run their marriage, mom and dad, or if you dare tell, them how to run their boyfriend and girlfriend ships, but how come they have a right to tell you how to do yours? Just because you're in your 40s or 50s and you're finding love again. I had a friend ask me, well, wouldn't you want your children's approval? Why? My children aren't going to live with him. I am. What, my children might live with him for 3, 4 more years while the last one moves out? As long as he's vetted as not a abusive fuck and a pedophile, we're good. They don't have to like everything about him. I do. He has to be respectful and kind and not overstep. My role as a mother, you know what I'm saying? There has to be some boundaries and communications and shit like that where I suppose partnership or step parents are concerned. But when they're at a certain age, there's no point. It's just mom or dad's guy or girl that's coming over. Hi, bye. Like they're not accountable after a certain age to them. What do they care? You know what I'm saying? Don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Pick up what I'm putting down. Age appropriate here, people. What a 26-year-old is telling a 50-something-year-old who he should and shouldn't date, he needs to shut the fuck up and mind his own business and worry about his own relationship. When a 24-year-old is telling their 50-something-year-old mother that they do or don't like this guy or that guy and are being mouthy towards them, well, if you can't be respectful, you can leave my house. Because I chose him and he chose me. So he matters and I matter. So if you can't respect that, don't come over. Because when you walk out that door, you're going to your boyfriend, you're going to your girlfriend, you're living your little life with your little friends. What, I'm supposed to sit here at the kitchen table and just watch Oprah until you decide to show back up and tell me to do more shit for you instead of live my life? No. We give way too much control over to people who should have no control. The only person who should have any say in what you're doing is you. If you're an adult. And if you're a child within reason, you should have some freedom to pick and choose what you want. You shouldn't be a slave to anybody or a servant to anybody. I spent a 30-year marriage cooking and cleaning and doing laundry and fixing floors and walls and yards and homeschooling, taking care of pets and the water going off, the electric not working, the wood stove breaking, splitting, stacking wood, blah, 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 chickens, this, that, you name it. You know, cloth diapers, washing by hand, you name it, I did it for years. I fed the children first, and I fed the men first. As I stood there, then clearing plates and refilling people's foods, and didn't sit down to eat until after everybody else was done, and I ate whosever food was left over. I've done that. Plus going to church every day and saying my prayers 3 times a day. Plus volunteering at the church. Plus worrying about going to hell every other day. There's also religious trauma, folks. It's real too. Look into that. Sometimes some of our fears that we have in our adulthood is because we were instilled with certain dogmas and doctrines as a child that we carry as adults that still terrify us and make us behave a certain way, for good or bad. I gotta get going. I gotta go to bed. My kids are good to me for the most part, honestly. They really are. We have our moments. A couple of them don't talk to me anymore. My hope is that they will come around. I always feel bad when that happens. And I check myself. I ask the other siblings, I do a survey. Was I out of line? Was it, if I was, I'll go apologize, But for the most part, I was doing that to teach them a lesson. It was a hard one to teach them. And it was a hard one for me to do to teach them. It hurt me to teach it. And what hurts even more is the wondering is, will they learn it? Or did I just cause them all this pain for nothing? And they won't even learn the lesson. And all they'll do is hate me and resent me till I'm dead. It's a terrible mother fear to have. Because that could happen too. They don't get the lesson. And they just end up hating me for being, horrible mother to them. When I was just trying to show them how you treat people, how you behave, what you do and what you don't do. Tough love. There's a difference between tough love and abuse. There's a difference between being mad at someone you love and being verbally abusive. There's a difference between raising your voice a little bit and raising it to be intimidating purposely. You can tell the difference in the intent. You can tell how they get a hold of themselves and they calm themselves versus escalate it. We love each other. Let's try to do better. And if you're in an environment where you find yourself that it's not getting any better, please. If you're in an unhealthy, toxic, or abusive relationship, first of all, if you're in danger, leave. Go to a safe house, go to family, go somewhere safe. And then if you're not in an unsafe situation where you're in danger physically, go to counseling, get some help. And if your partner won't go with you, then you might have to do some tough love. Somebody might have to leave. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not spending what's left of my years being miserable and feeling bad about myself because of somebody else ever again. I'm worth way more than that, and I know it. Even if somebody makes me forget it for a few seconds. Okay? Same for you. I love you. Okay? I love you. Get some sleep. It's dark now.